In our episodes, you'll often see videos about how certain events or people changed the course of history. Over the next few minutes, we'll talk about photographs. The very ability to take pictures transformed the past beyond recognition and touched every part of human life. But some photos went even further. They shook up age-old societal norms that had stood for thousands of years. Like the idea of this segment? Let us know in the comments. We'll kick things off with a riddle. What do you see in this photo? A butterfly, a dinosaur, or maybe the logo of Team X? If so, you might want to check in with a specialist. This snapshot helped solve over 500,000 crimes and might just be the reason you're alive today. Of course, this story comes with coincidences and scandals, because this is the first clear image of DNA in history. It was taken by Rosalind Franklin, along with her student Raymond Gosling, in May 1952 in a basement lab in London. To be precise, the spiral structure of DNA was confirmed by Maurice Wilkins, James Watson, and Francis Crick, who won the Nobel Prize in 1962 for it and helped humanity learn to decode DNA's structure. According to the FBI, by 2025, DNA analysis was used in over 500,000 criminal investigations with about 70% accuracy. For true crime fans, things got quiet. Before DNA testing, serial killers were caught less often, but now they're being locked up in droves. As for the benefits in medicine, like treating diseases such as cancer or genetic disorders, we won't dwell on that since it's pretty obvious. What's wild is that this massive breakthrough came about because of a feud, some audacity, and a bit of carelessness. The feud was between Rosalind Franklin, who took the photo with Raymond Gosling, and her colleague Maurice Wilkins. Without her permission, Wilkins took the photo and showed it to Watson and Crick. Those two were trying to crack the DNA puzzle, but, as they admitted, were hitting a dead end and going in the wrong direction. Who knows how many more years it would have taken without that feud and the stolen photo that became the key. In the end, Wilkins, Watson, and Crick got the Nobel Prize, without even mentioning where the photo came from. Rosalind Franklin died of ovarian cancer in 1958. But films like Photograph 51 have been made about her, and her role in the discovery is now recognized. As for Raymond Gosling, who actually pressed the shutter button, he's been almost completely forgotten. The next photo is even more mysterious, and it's tied to John F. Kennedy, the U.S. president whose assassination still sparks countless theories. It's called The Badge Man. It was taken by Mary Moorman, an ordinary American woman who on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, went to see the president's motorcade for her 11-year-old son, a huge Kennedy fan. Her son was at school, so Mary grabbed her Polaroid camera and went to shoot some pictures. She made history because her photo was snapped just 1/6 of a second after a bullet hit Kennedy's head. She said she was so close she could hear the screams of the president's wife, Jackie Kennedy. Later, forensic analysis confirmed Mary was only 5 meters from the limousine, making her a key witness. Her camera became a crucial piece of evidence, as it held several photos. In one of them, taken near a grassy knoll by the road, you can see what looks like a muzzle flash and a figure in a police uniform with a shiny badge. This figure became known as the Badge Man. Many believe it was a second shooter, perhaps a cop or someone dressed as one. This sparked conspiracy theories that there were multiple gunmen, not just Lee Harvey Oswald. Moorman's photo was one of the first cases where technology let ordinary people become famous, something we see all the time now with social media. Mary herself said she heard up to 4 shots after the one that hit Kennedy's head, and she was in the line of fire. That doesn't match the official Warren Commission report, which said there were 3 shots from one shooter. Officially, the Badge Man is just an optical illusion, maybe a Coca-Cola bottle or a shadow. But things got messy because the Polaroid passed through so many hands, it got worn out. Still, Mary's story is backed by other witnesses and even the official report, which notes that many people heard shots from the grassy knoll, and police immediately went to check it out. The photo is still studied. Some experts, like those on Nova, say there's no shooter, but others in conspiracy books disagree. Next up, we've got a photo of ordinary U.S. workers from the early 20th century. Here's an inspector at a cotton mill. Here are miners after a shift, some smiling, others exhausted. Notice anything odd? They're all kids. In a world that seemed modern, children as young as 6 worked grueling jobs. According to the 1900 census, about 1.75 million kids aged 10 to 15 worked full-time. That's 1 in 4, and with part-time work, 1 in 2. In textile mills in South Carolina and Georgia, 1 in 4 workers was under 16, and in Pennsylvania's coal mines, every coal sorter was under 14. Kids worked 12 to 14 hours a day in dangerous conditions, risking suffocation or injury in mines, or getting cut by machines or sick from dust in factories. The National Child Labor Committee, NCLC, noticed this horror and hired photographer Lewis Hine, who, from 1908 to 1912, traveled across America and took thousands of photos of kids at work, in mines, meatpacking plants, mills, or as street shoe shiners. Hine sometimes disguised himself to sneak into factories and added captions with the kids' names and stories. These photos were shared with politicians and the growing middle class. The result? In 10 years, from 1904, child labor dropped by 50%. This led to laws like the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, which banned child labor in many industries. The trend spread worldwide, and kids started going to school instead of mines. Thanks to Hine, future scientists and inventors got an education. People switched from airships to planes, largely because of a photo of the burning Hindenburg. This 245-meter giant, filled with flammable hydrogen gas, sounds like a joke to modern people. How could anyone fly on that? But airships weren't as dangerous as you'd think. The myth of their deadliness came from one photo of the Hindenburg disaster on May 6, 1937, in Lakehurst, New Jersey. Taken by Sam Scher, it shows the airship exploding during landing. 36 of the 97 people on board died, including crew and passengers. But the truth is more complex. The Zeppelin Company carried 40,000 people from 1910 to the 1930s without a single death. The U.S. Navy used airships until the 1960s. The Hindenburg wasn't even the deadliest crash. The British R-101 in 1930 killed 48 people, yet airships kept flying. So why did the Hindenburg end it all? Geopolitics. Germany used hydrogen because the safer helium was produced in the US, which refused to sell it to Nazi Germany. The disaster was hyped up in the press for political reasons, to make people distrust German technology. The myth that the airship's fabric was rocket fuel is false. Photos and videos show it was the gas burning, not the covering. Airships weren't much riskier than planes or cruise ships of the era. Nobody stopped cruising after the Titanic. But politics and economics killed airships. Today, modern ones like Pathfinder 1, made of Kevlar and titanium, use safe gas, carry 28 tons, and fly 4,600 kilometers, even hovering without fuel. Who knows what could have been if superpowers had invested even a fraction of their resources into airships. We'll wrap up with another grim tale from the past: human zoos. In this photo, people from Tierra del Fuego are displayed to a Paris crowd by Monsieur Maitre in 1889. This wasn't a one-off event. The human zoo business thrived from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century. It was started by Carl Hagenbeck, who first showed animals and then thought, why not people? He set up primitive villages with people from Africa, Asia, or the Americas for Europeans to gawk at as exotics. In 1896, a Sioux Indian exhibition in Cincinnati brought in $25,000 in 3 months. In Osaka, they displayed Ainu people. In St. Louis, in 1904, Filipino Igorot were forced to eat dogs for the show. In 1897, in Tervuren, Belgium, 267 Congolese were brought. 7 died from cold and disease. Even in 1958, at the Brussels Expo, there was a Congolese village with people. It was racist. People were kept in cages or fake villages, poorly fed and made to dance or work for entertainment. Hundreds of thousands paid to watch. This went on in some places into the early 21st century, though in smaller forms. Thanks to photos and protests from activists, it faded away. Society realized it violated human rights. Our video ends here, but there are tons more history-changing photos out there. Want more? Let us know in the comments. See you next time, friends.